Hey, what's up, peeps? This is Zizou Middoux, and you're watching Loudmouth Presents Off the Top Rope. Uncensored, uncut, raw.
In conjunction with specialized supplements.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are, part 3 of the Sons of Wrestling, and we have got a cracker for you today. The son of one of the best heels in professional wrestling in South Africa, Zizou Middoux. Zizou, how you doing, friend?
I can't complain, man. I can't complain. It's all good. It's all good.
Awesome.
It's nice and hot on this cold
for
day.
for a change. For a change. Now you're in the unenvious position. It was easy with Devon Shooter because the Fundamentals have always been a face. And it's easy with TJ Tremor because he's able to have his own identity away from Mark. But with you, it's a little bit different because your father is known as the best heel that South Africa's ever produced. Has that put a little bit of pressure on you to replicate or to play the heel part forward? Or do you feel it's just something that people say and you don't actually mind?
Well, look, I mean, it's a tough question. Well, not really tough to answer, but I mean, in the beginning, I was young, a bit silly as well, so I just thought I'd be able to hide or not hide, but like follow in my dad's shadow, you know what I mean? So that if I did something wrong, the people may not have seen it because, maybe I was hoping that his presence would hide the fact that I'm making so many mistakes.
Right.
But I think at the end, it was all just a learning process for me, man. And it was big shoes to fill. I actually realized that this is no easy task, to try and pull off just the tip of the iceberg of what he's pulled off. It's difficult, but through the processes of how can I say of learning and following what he does, I actually learned that I don't want to be. I mean, I think The Rock said it a few times. I don't know that you don't want to be the next Rock. You want to be the next you type of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't have that in mind. I had the mentalities like I want to be just like my dad. I want to do just what he does. But it's so difficult to do what he does because the thing is, he's already done it. So I thought maybe let me try and do something a bit better, or let me take what he did and amplify it, which was difficult in itself because I couldn't do what he did in the first place. People would just walk out. He would just walk out, and then the people would hate him already. Like just because of, I don't know if it's his presence or just how he does it. I still don't know how he does it to this day. People just love to hate him. So look, at the end of the day, through the years of what I've learned, going through experience, in the beginning, I thought I could hide behind his shadow and hope that people don't see my mistakes, and try and learn as much as I could from him, which, I learned so much from my dad. But at the end of the day, to each his own. You gotta put your own foot in your own shoe, because trying to fill somebody else's shoe it's impossible, man. You've got to create your own way.
Yeah. Now, in the beginning of your career, you had a lot of tag matches with your dad, where you were able, I wouldn't say able to hide per se, but like you say, your mistakes were hidden because your dad's character was so much more accentuated. It was so much bigger than the mistakes that you were made. When you look at him standing on his side of the ring and you're looking at him wrestling things like it, does it click in your mind, okay, I know that's what I've done wrong, that's what I need to do, look at his positioning, look at his feet, that type of thing? Do you think that later on it made you a better wrestler?
Well, definitely. But, like I say, once again, in the beginning, I didn't really see those things because of the little attitude that they just kept on growing and growing that I had. That I had developed because, my dad is the heel, my dad is the best, heel. And this, so all of that grew in my mind. It grew my ego, it grew my attitude, it grew all of those things. And it actually blinded me to actually see the stuff that I was doing wrong. And let's look at like this. If someone else came to me and said, listen, Jerome, not even my dad, but someone else came to me like yourself maybe, or Quibus, or whoever the case, whoever it may be, if they came to me, I'd listen, but truly inside my heart, I'd be thinking like, you guys don't know what you're talking about, because that's the attitude that I had. And it was so wrong, because it stopped me from growing from where I actually was. So, but at the end of the day also, just to bring this up, it wasn't just my dad's, his presence and the way that he was doing things that hid my mistakes, but also the other two wrestlers that were also in the ring that carried me, that also made it look so good that the mistakes were actually not seen in a way because of how professional. Like, for example, you and Jonathan Blizzard. Yeah. When we fought that match against you, man, that was one of my favorite matches, man. I think I did the 450 on you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Oh, man, that was so beautiful. But not the 450 on you, but I'm saying the whole match was so beautiful because you, Jonathan, and my dad carried me through that whole match. And back then, I wouldn't have thought that way. But now I do, because I look back and go, Jerome, you were such an arrogant little prick.
Yeah.
And I just wish that my mind wasn't the way it was back then. But I'm thankful that it was, so that I could learn the hard way. You know what I mean? That I could be humbled very quickly. And man. But sorry to add all these things to your question, but I just want to be open.
That's perfect. Once you split from your dad, once your dad went on his own way and you went on your own way, and you started with the party boy. A lot of people still talk about that gimmick. They like that gimmick. They related to that gimmick. That's when I felt you started to develop your own personality, your own character, because then you couldn't hide from your dad. Everything was out there. You had the bright neon, little Billy Gunn freaking shorts there, and the bright neon in your straps. They hid practically nothing. It was very straight getting dressed, and you just, there's Jerome. But man, I remember
all the parents were hiding them behind their kids, like, don't look. Why did we bring them to the show?
But the thing that resonated with me, I think we were wrestling in Middelburg. I think it was Valcom.
Okay.
And we were wrestling in the small ring, and we needed to fix the planks. And the one plank in the ring broke, and we needed to replace it. And they played your music, and the guys that were standing around the ring, while they're busy playing your music and things like that, and you're dancing, the people started dancing with you. And then, must have been about 15, 20 people just dancing next to the ring and things like that, giving us time to fix the ring and all of that stuff. That's when I realized that your gimmick now was your own gimmick. You weren't Zizou Middoux, the son of Terri. You were Zizou Middoux, the party boy. And that's where I felt your career actually started, is when that event took place. Do you feel that also that was it, or was it somewhere a little bit earlier where you thought, okay, I've got my own identity now?
Well, look, man, like I say, it's tough to say, because a lot of the times, because of, and I'm going to bring this up over and over because I can't reiterate it enough, that my attitude sucked so badly. So many people in the business, people that I called brothers, were hurt by my attitude, by things that were done, possibly not even directly or indirectly. Not to harm, not to hurt, but it still hurt. You know what I mean? It's actually hard for me to say, because I was blinded by this attitude. I just thought I was. You know what I mean? I just thought, you know what I mean? I just thought I was already there, and I was already so, man, I had such a big head. But I'm thankful that I went through those things just to make sure, you know what I mean, to help me to get to where I am today. And I just wish that I knew then what I know now.
Right.
But look, I think where I really started, what really helped me to kind of bring me down a little bit as well, from my attitude, was the brotherhood between everyone. You know what I mean? That we were there for each other, even though I had my attitude, and even though I had my ego, and even though I thought the sun was shining from somewhere that never should be shone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think the brotherhood and the family, you know, in the wrestling is what actually woke me up, if I can say that, back then. And I think that is when, you know, even if it was after the matches that we had in my neon gear or whatever, I think that for me personally is where I actually started to grow, you know, coming back down to earth, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I still had a big ego. I still had a big problem with it. And, but I think that was where the start happened, where I started being dragged back down to earth to realize, listen, you know, Jerome, at the end of the day, no matter how good you look, no matter how well you wrestle, you know, if you don't have a good heart, you know what I mean? For me personally, it didn't mean anything. I had to first have that to actually learn and to actually grow. And not just learn from my own understanding, but also the brothers and the sisters that were around me to help me, give me knowledge, even if they just started. You know what I mean? I mean, you never stop learning in this business.
Right. Now, you then went overseas to ROH. Now, you wrestled in Chikara and you wrestled in ROH and things like that. A lot of people say, oh, you have to empty your cup and learn from somebody else. But something like that is a total culture shock because it's a different way of training. It's a different way of traveling. Things like that. Did that help your healing process per se when you went over there and you saw how they were doing it?
Man, like you said, it was a culture shock. Things are done completely differently there. You know, most of the guys that side work together. Most of the guys, they build each other up. Most of the guys, they, you know, help each other out. Like, you know, hey, listen, there's a spot that just opened up on this show. Do you want in? I'll quickly give the promoter a call. You know what I mean? Or I'll speak to the promoter. You can give a call. You know, everyone's trying to help each other out. Promotions working together. Now, I'm not going to say every promotion, but a lot of them that I worked with, you know, were actually working together.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, firstly, Kerry Silken, man, he was such a big help and such a big blessing to me in many ways. You know, he gave me a place to stay. He helped me on so many places, my man. And he told me that I had to take what I'd known in a book. For example, he didn't use the cup example. He used the book.
The book, yeah.
He said, you got to take out everything on that book. You got to tear all the pages out and you got to start back at square one. So that for me already was like a whoa, you know, like Christopher Walken. Whoa,
Yes. Whoa,
you know.
Hey.
No, but really, man, that was like a massive shock to me. And also very humbling because I went there with an attitude that I knew.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I was quickly told that I don't know. So I had to rip out and start the book over. Right. I'm not saying, you know, I had to forget my roots and forget, you know, the people that brought me to the place where I am today. No.
Yes.
But what I thought I knew about wrestling, you know, physical, actual wrestling and about the business itself, you know, all of that changed. When I got my opportunity, there was like a little tryout camp. I went over there and, you know, things got hot and it was beautiful. And like, I went there with an attitude.
Right.
And I'm glad I did because it, like I said, it quickly brought me down and I quickly lost the attitude in a very humbling way.
Right.
And but look, man, I think at the end of the day, I had to start. You have to start from scratch.
Right.
Like you've got to go there with an open mind and be like, okay, this is just not how wrestling works. It's actually like this. If that makes any sense.
Yes. Right. Now, you have the distinction, and I'll actually look this up. You have the distinction of being the first South African wrestler to ever be on Botchamania.
Yes.
What happened, Bob? I know what happened. Tell everybody. Oh my God, tell everybody what happened.
Okay. So this is awesome. I'll never forget. I still actually now and then have this pain in my foot, which was actually worsened, by the way, Yeah, it was actually worsened when I think it was myself versus you.
Yeah.
And I think it was Black Widow and Muhammad was the ref. And I had to do like this flip to the outside. And as I was climbing up to the rope, I think I was seeing my pink shorts,
Yes.
pink, with those little straps.
Oh, yes,
That
I remember.
reveals almost everything. But anyway, so I wanted to do a backflip onto you guys.
Yes.
And when I got up to the top, I don't know, you'll notice on the video that I didn't do that because my foot was already hurting throughout the match because of this thing now. So I ended up going to the top. I'm like, no, let me not. I have to second guess it. So I turned around and jumped face first, and that made it even even worse. So it was so funny. So here I am facing Blackheart Rudy.
Yeah.
And he's got this cool gimmick. It's almost like a Shawn Michael type vibe. It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
Yes.
It was for PTW. Shout out to my man PT.
Yes.
I think I pulled his legs, to give him like a I don't know, a nut job or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I had his leg and I wanted to kick his leg, but obviously my mind was somewhere else because I wanted to kick his leg, but I kicked the actual steel frame of the ring. It was so funny. And then I had to try and work it in as if that was part of the the gig. And it didn't work much because I was in so much pain. It was so funny. Yeah,
man, it was great. I watched it over and over and over again, and I felt bad for it happening because I know I've been in the ring and mistakes have happened, and I was in the ring and the ring rope broke, and Mr. Wrestling was jumping on the ropes one day and he missed his feet and he fell right off the apron. So
I remember that one.
Man,
and then he was doing like squats on the side of the ring, like everything was okay.
Yeah. So look, we all go through it. We all go through it. But getting back now, you come back. Unfortunately, you're not able to go over again because of reasons and things like that. But when you did come back, I noticed a definite change in the way you approached not wrestling per se, but the people in wrestling. And I think for younger guys, I think it's important for them to go over, go to the UK, go to the States. If you got a chance to go to Australia, I know that Hotoro went to New Zealand for a while, just to break the mold that you're in. And I think a lot of South Africans are scared to do it because here you're a big fish, you're a big fish in a little pond. There,
that's it.
You're one of 12, 15, 20, 30,000 wrestlers that want to get booked. It takes your mind. It takes you, like you said, it takes your mind from this to this. Did you appreciate the fact that you had now reached a level that you would say, okay, my mind is open to new ideas and new suggestions and being new?
Yeah, man, for sure. And I just want to quickly apologize for the lengthy answers that I'm giving you because I'm trying to milk out as much answers as I can from whatever I've got in here.
Don't worry about
it. So when I got back, obviously, like you said, it went from this to this, and many people ask me, throughout the racing since I've been back, did I have to go back from this to this?
Yeah.
And then my answer to them would be like, no, because I'm supposed to. I felt that many people don't have the opportunity to go over, overseas, whatever. And I just felt in my heart that I need to bring back. And once again, please, like, people must understand, I'm not saying I know everything, but whatever I did learn in America or overseas, I wanted to bring back whatever knowledge I could and give back to the guys here in South Africa that didn't have the opportunity to go over.
Right.
So, yeah.
Did you get a lot of guys in South Africa are stubborn? Did you get a lot of negative pushback from the guys when you said, hey, listen here, guys, I've been over, I want to impart that knowledge to you. Are you open to using the knowledge? And the guys are like, well, no, we know how we're doing things here.
Yeah. Well, look, I won't say directly. There was one occasion that it did happen, but I don't know if it was for other reasons. I don't know. But I just felt in my heart, man, like there was many times when I tried to offer, and it could have possibly been seen as almost a threat, like, oh, now you want to take my position. That's like I said, it wasn't directly said to me, but that's what I felt. And then I thought, you know what? Let me rather step back. I am here. Whatever you guys want to know, if I know it or part of it, I will then, try and give you my understanding of it and try and help you with it.
Yeah.
Whether it be singles match psychology or, tag matches, triple threats, fatal four ways. There's so many different psychologies to everything. And I just wish we had a platform. Well, that was actually my goal, is to create a platform in South Africa to part this knowledge to other people who did not have the opportunity to have it.
Right. I get you. I can't remember when it was. You and I wrestled. You and I wrestled in Mayerton. I've got that tremendous photo of me throwing a punch and you selling back like I said. I'm fully.
I remember that.
You remember that? That is still one of my top 3 matches, maybe even my top 2 matches that I've ever had. It was phenomenal. I still bring it up.
Hey, for me too, by the way. Just let you know that.
It was, and there I was heavy. I was still over 150 kilograms, But I learned so much in that match with you, and I learned so much in my singles match with your dad that you can't help but learn when you wrestle somebody like it, because we didn't go out and plan the whole match. We just planned the beginning where you would run in and we'd do the hurricane runners off like us, and we planned the end. It was just everything about that match was magical. So I want to ask you now, top 5 matches that you have had anywhere around the world, any opponents, things like that. Who are the top 5 matches that you've had? Your top opponents, top matches. Ooh. Who are they?
Would this be now based on performance, based on people who I would have loved to wrestle with, or like what are we basing this off of?
Based off of everything. The chemistry was right. The storytelling was on point. The moves were solid. The crowd was into it. It was just the perfect storm of wrestling.
Okay, so now this is actually quite cool because normally when you plan or when you work out a match, right? Beginning, middle, and end, or just beginning and end, and you're just working through the whole way.
Yeah.
What I love most is about when matches don't go the way that you planned, but the chemistry in the ring is it's like beautiful.
Yeah.
That you are able to magically just turn that, what we see as not a disaster, but what we see as massive mistakes.
Right.
The crowd turns up and goes like, boom, wow, because obviously they weren't expecting us to do what we wanted to do. You know what I mean? It's all, you know what I mean? So we're going in it. And I'd say starting down from number 5, I'm going to base this one off of who it was.
Right.
Because it was just really awesome. My 5th favorite match that I've had was a tag match between myself and Mike Seidel against the American Wolves. It was my first TV taping on ROH. I learned so much in that match with Mike Seidel, and obviously, Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards. It was awesome. That was like it was my first ever match where I'd actually fought or went up against someone who was like well known. And I think that was more overwhelming than whatever. I didn't even know how the match went, actually. I was just more like wowed about who it was against, and they made us look really good. That's how professional they are, man. Like, yeah. Anyway, so number 4, wow, I don't know. I think it would be myself and all ego Ethan Page.
Oh yes.
We fought. It was at ROH. I think it was I don't know, Road to Battle of Honor or something. No, not Battle of Honor, Road to something.
Yeah, yeah.
It was pretty cool. I think we opened up. We were the second to open up, and it was really cool. It was my first actual singles match on ROH TV, and it was really cool. The crowd, I mean, they just, oh man, you can hold them on your hands, and you can just, it's almost as if you can make them do, but you know what I mean? You can make them boo you just when they want, when you want them to, and it's just so beautiful, and they're so involved, and it's just without the crowd, without the fans, I don't think, and I mean, look now in the epidemic that we're in, there's a lot of like this WWE and I think even ROH, they're doing it without fans in the building. And man, I personally think, yes, we can wrestle in front of 2 people or 2,000. We still need to perform, right? But I just think without the fans, man, wrestling wouldn't be anything, because I mean, they just bring it on. They just bring it all to the table. And okay, back to my favorite matches. Number 3, I don't know, man. I would say it's difficult. It's so difficult because there's so many matches. But I'd say myself and Ananzi, just before I went over to the US. It was like a half an hour match. It was beautiful. He took me to the top rope for his bad habit. And just before he did it, I said, "Brother, I love you, man." And he looked back at me and he goes, "I love you too." And I'm like, "No, you don't. You said not to bad habit me from the top rope." No, it was beautiful. I loved it, man. And I think my second favorite, like I said, I think would be my match versus with you. The one that you were just speaking about now, that was definitely one of my in my top 5, but I'd take it at number 2. And of course, my all-time favorite would definitely be with my dad. I mean, it was at Alberton Rugby Club. It's been my dream to actually have a match one-on-one with him, but not based on just feud or just a match that is pure, and that he's my father, I'm his son, and we go at it, and who's better than who. It wasn't about that. It was just about the love that we have for each other. You know what I mean? And and the opportunity to for me to have wrestled against my father, this guy that the people have been talking about for years and years and years, who's still in the ring, that I had an opportunity to face. And man, let me tell you, he guided me through that whole match. And this was after I came back from the US, and I'm like, "Dad, where are you getting these things? What?" And man, so those would be my top 5. But like I say, man, it's so difficult to say, because I don't want to make one match mean less than the other. I personally, overall, I think all my matches that I've had, I think I love them all. But like I said, I don't want to lessen the one match to the other, because I also don't want to take the not the integrity, but I don't want to take I don't know what the right word is, of my opponent away from him. He's you know what I mean? Because it's not just me in the match, it's my opponent. And without my opponent, I can't have a match. You know what I mean? So with you as well, you think that you learned a lot from that match we had. Let me tell you how much I learned from that match that we had. Like, boom, it's mind-boggling. I don't understand. It's like, as soon as you think, I know it all, boom, there you learn about 10 different things. Now you've got to adapt to those 10 different things. Next match, same thing, and boom. So man.
This is I get personally, especially from a lot of the older guys, I get a lot of questions of, Don, you've been in wrestling for 14 years and things like that. Do you really need to train like twice a week? I say to them, I said, I wish I could train every night, because you're always learning a different way. And even if it's a guy that's just stepped into the ring, he does something that maybe can add to what you're doing, or he's done it in a different way, an easier way than you have. And it just it boggles my mind, the old mentality of, you've reached a certain plateau, you don't need to train, you don't need to step into the ring, you need to limit your bumps and things like that. Man, I'm probably going to bump when I'm old and gray. Well, yeah.
That's just a love bite, man. That's all it is.
With your dad retiring, with his hip ops and his back operations and things like that, does it make you sad that his last match wasn't against you?
I think my dad's had about 50 lost matches. I was one of them. I was one of those 50 lost matches.
Yeah.
No, listen. There's that saying that you can take the boy out of the jungle, but you can't take the jungle out of the boy, right?
Right.
So even though my dad might have retired, it's so difficult to see. Like I don't believe, like, you can take my dad away from the wrestling, but you'll never be able to take my dad away from the wrestling away from my dad. So
Yeah.
I think if he was put up to it, he would go for one last match just because of that's still inside of him. I mean, he's a very competitive guy. He's been fighting for all his life, with the judo, the sumo, the schwingen, all those type of things. A very competitive person, but very loving. And that's what I love about him so much. And I think, you know what? I'm not sad that I didn't have his last match wasn't against me. No, I'm thankful because of all the things that I had an opportunity to learn from him. And yeah, man, it's at the end of the day, it doesn't bother me, but I'm just grateful that I can still call him dad, and I can still call him father, and that I can still learn so much from him, even though I'm not seeing him face to face in the ring. Or, I mean, who even had this thing where if I'm going to, build up this psychotic character, or even just whatever character, that he'd be my manager, and he found me in the bush somewhere, somewhere in France in the cave. I mean, there's still so many opportunities for him to be involved. And I think if the opportunity was presented to him, I think he'd take it without a heartbeat.
Right.
I mean, in a heartbeat. Sorry.
I get you. Jerome, what is next in wrestling for you? Where do we go to from this point?
Whew. That is a beautiful question, man. That is a beautiful question. So here's my thing. And I know that everyone in South Africa knows the situation in South Africa and wrestling. All right. Yeah. So my goal when I came back from the US was to open a promotion.
Right.
But this promotion wouldn't just be for itself. It would be for everyone. Right. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. Not like we've heard in the past about promoters saying this. This is not a bash on any promoters. What I'm saying is because, I mean, I cannot take away what every promoter puts into what they are doing. I cannot take away from any of that. But I had this idea to start this promotion, and it was called ROA. So Ring of African Honor.
You're right.
And everything was going smooth. And, I wanted to not only teach or pass the knowledge that I knew, but I wanted to take people that are from broken homes, or that, that come from alcoholic backgrounds or drug addict background, whatever broken state they were in, to try and give them hope that there is a way for them, whether it might not be in the wrestling, but that the wrestling could help and give them discipline. So
yes,
the way I see myself, I'd still like to do that because I want to help as many people as I can. I want to try and help them to avoid the path that I took with egotistically, attitudically, or if that's even a word, you know what I mean? And going in this game humbly, like totally humbly. Because when I was in America, I went, before I left, I was told by Exterminator, actually, in actual fact, I must always stay as humble as I am. And I went over, and while I was there, I also learned that many people there told me that I'm too humble, that I'll never make it in the business. I'll never make it in the business if I'm this humble, or if I'm such a nice guy, or too of a nice guy.
Yeah.
But you know what? Let me tell you something. That is the biggest load of bull crap. Excuse my language. Yeah. The biggest load of nonsense that I've ever heard. Because if you carry on staying humble, if you carry on persevering and pushing just like you are, and proving to everyone to every single person that you are more than what they say you are, even though you don't even need to, because you are true to yourself, then you will make it.
Yeah.
You will make it. One day you will make it. But until you make it, the journey is so beautiful because you actually learn about yourself.
Right.
You grow in yourself and become a better person, not just for yourself, but to help others. I mean, well, if you had interviewed me like this, maybe about 5 years back, or maybe even less, maybe 3 years back.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have had a silly, stupid attitude. I would have given you answers that were ridiculous. It wouldn't have been helpful to anyone at all, except for worsening the fact of growing my ego.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a lengthy answer, but what's next for me? I'd really like to either push the Zizou character, but as I'm doing it, I want to help others to grow into their character and find out who they are. Help them find out who they are and what direction they need to go in regards to wrestling or character, psychology. I'd like to coach a lot of people. I'd like to or mentor coach or just a physical coach, show them how to do things or whatever the case may be. But as for myself in the ring, I'd like to see myself, back and more active in the ring. And like you said, if I could train every single day, then I would.
Absolutely.
But,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Unfortunately, and look, another thing as well is that the distances between my place and the wrestling training school that should not be an excuse, actually. That should not be an excuse to say, oh, but it's too far. You know what? If you really want to do this in this business, you must be willing to sacrifice whatever you can, in regards to distance, or, phone somebody, ask them, can I get a lift? Or if you can come here, my car's a bit bust, I can give you some petrol cash or whatever. But I think at the end of the day, I'd like to see myself be a part of the growth of South African wrestling in bringing everybody together, if that makes sense. Regardless of if there's personal issues or whatever, my whole goal is to try and bring everyone together so that we can grow. If we've got a strong foundation, man, nothing can stop us. Nothing.
There we go. What was it saying? It was floating around a few years. Spend $5,000 on an outfit. Spend $500 on traveling to make $50 for a 15-minute match.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Cheeseburger, one of my big buddies. Oh, that guy is so funny. I love him. Cheeseburger and I was trying to think of his name now. They had a tag team. Brutal Burgers. They were called Brutal Burgers.
Okay.
It was with Brutal Bob Evans and Cheeseburger. Now, if you want, now let me tell you this now. If you want pure, clean, and honest wrestling advice and just advice about life, Brutal Bob Evans is one man to look at, because he is honest. He is man. That guy's got a heart of wrestling, man. He's got a heart of just love, and he just wants to give back so much that he gained. Even at the ROH camps as well, with my coach Delirious. I mean, that was amazing, man. He showed me things. He told me one day, because man, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford it. He says, you know what? I am gonna, and I actually came back to South Africa because I had to come back because I was on a short visa, and obviously, then I was just going over for training and whatever.
Yeah.
But I had to go and come back. And the last time I'd left, when I'd come back, man, I was in his office. I was crying. I was like, sir, you know what? I can't afford this. If there's any way that I could pay or whatever, please tell me. And he said, so every show that I went at, I had to do extra work, whatever I could do to get a bit of extra cash.
Yeah.
And with the ring crew setting up, breaking down, all that type of stuff, I got a bit of cash. And with that money, I was able to pay. But he said to me, Jerome, I want you to know something. You came from South Africa. He says, not many people from over, that time from other places last.
Yeah.
And I said to him, man, I'm going to stay here until the end. And he said to me, Jerome, I'm going to teach you everything I know. Man, and I broke out and I cried. And man, that meant so much to me, because it was something about his validation that kind of drove me to do more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get
because
you.
he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, because I was so broken down with many of these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Cool, man. Well, maybe if you put in a good word for Brutal Bob there, he'll be able to come on off the top rope. One can only hope.
You know what? I'm going to actually speak to Cheeseburger, and I pray and hope that he sees this video, because I'm shouting out to you, Cheeseburger. You need to get onto this show. It is the best in SA, the best in Africa, probably the best in the whole world. I mean, the opportunity that you give me now, listen, the opportunity that you've given me now to be on this show, to be on your show. Thank you, Donovan. I really appreciate it. I'll give Cheeseburger a shout. I'll ask him if he can speak to Brutal Bob Evans to get in contact with you, or if you can get in contact with him, you know, his details, and you guys get this sorted, because that man, even Cheeseburger, I mean, they've got so much knowledge. Red Titus, Little Willie, man, those guys are all awesome. Mike Seidel, man, the list goes on. Even Hunter Johnson. Things are, man, But anyway, thank you so much for the opportunity, Donovan.
Cool. Zizou, I'm going to leave it at that, my man. Thank you very much for being on the show. The Sons of Wrestling is concluding with your episode. So you've given us a lot to think about, man. We want to thank you very much for your time and being as honest as you have with us. And we wish you nothing but the best going forward. And one day is one day, man. We're going to revisit that Mayerton match. We're going to do even better.
Oh, yeah. I can promise you that. One day is one day. And we're both going to learn so much more from that, man. Definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, for Zizou Middoux, this is the Loudmouth. Loudmouth presents Off the Top Rope, uncensored, uncut, and raw.